Hey guys, welcome back. It's another episode of Get You Moving Monday. Don't change that dial because this is going to be a good one. Get you moving Monday. I'm Ryan Kuhlman of the Broward and the Miami-Dade Real Estate Investors Associations, also known as the BREIA MC, coming to you from the BREIA and MD-REIA headquarters. So one of the popular topics that comes up actually all of the time is what makes this a good deal? When people send me properties, people send me deals, I got a great deal, I got this wholesale property we can make a lot of money on. The first thing that I always ask them, which is the first thing that you should be asking your sellers, why are you selling? You see, we talk about this, that the common element to any good deal that I've ever done, any good deal that you will ever do or have ever done, is having a motivated seller. If the seller's not motivated, then how am I going to get that property at a discounted price? So in evaluating your properties, evaluating your deals, time is money, as they say, and we only have so much time in every single day and every single week. So it is crucial that you're not wasting your time trying to shop around or trying to sell properties where there's not a motivated situation or a motivated seller, so that you're making sure you're getting that property at a price that you could actually make a profit. So what we need to talk about today is at the very beginning, your initial due diligence on any property has a lot to do with finding a motivated seller. Whew. Anyways, there are a few signs that you can look for in the very beginning to tell if your seller is motivated or not. Okay, so a few signs that the seller's motivated. They're in a rush to sell. When you have that conversation and you ask them why they're selling, they might say things like, they need money to pay some back taxes. Maybe you get an indication they've got a gambling problem. They might not always tell you why, but they might say, I need to sell very quickly. Okay, so that's the first sign. Another sign, they're facing a foreclosure. So if they're facing a foreclosure, that's another reason for them to want to need to sell the property quickly, because if they have a sale date coming up and they have equity in their property, they're not going to get that money. They're not going to get any equity out of the property. So that could be another reason that they're facing a foreclosure. They could tell you that they're in a divorce. I've literally had those calls where the husband has a couple rental properties that he wants to sell before the divorce papers get started. Because obviously he's going to hide this from his soon-to-be ex-wife. So divorce could be another situation, and those tables could be turned. It could be the wife that owns a couple rental properties and she doesn't want her deadbeat husband knowing about it. The fourth one is relocation. They could be relocating and say, I've got a new job somewhere, so they need to be able to move on. When you're relocating, you're obviously going to be securing housing in your new location, and they're going to need money for that. They're going to need funds for that. So sometimes that will create a little bit more motivation for them to drop the price, sell the property quickly, or if they've already relocated. I've actually had conversations with people that already live outside the country. They're having issues getting back into the country, and they need money desperately. So it's not that we want to take advantage of these situations, but when I make contact with a seller, if I hear any of these and I hear that motivation, then that tells me I'm probably going to get a little bit better price on this property. Now, on the flip side of this coin, there are a couple things that sellers will tell you that are red flags that they are not motivated. So if they say, well, I'm not really in a rush to sell my property, I'm just marketing it just to kind of see what's out there and what kind of offers that I can get, that is a red flag. If they are facing a foreclosure, but they don't have any equity in the property, and they are maybe of a very mature age, they don't care about their credit, there's no real motivation for them. They're like, I don't care about the bank. They can take my property and drag me out of here. Well, that's obviously not a motivated seller. And then same thing on divorce and relocation. If you don't hear of any of these situations, they're not relocating, they're not facing a divorce, then again, they just don't seem motivated. The ones that you'll be most aware of is if they're in a rush to sell or not. For sale by owners are the most common, where you have that conversation with them, and literally 9 out of 10 times you'll be told, I could sell or not sell, I'm not really in a hurry, I just kind of want to see what I can get for my property, or if I'm not going to get $285,000 for this property, I'm not selling at all. So So that's how you can kind of gauge the motivation of the seller. Now, let's talk about some signs that the property and the condition of it and what's going on with it, the situation of the property, might create that motivation for the seller. Now, the following are situations that will make the property seem that the seller should be a little more motivated, the situation with the property. So the property could be facing a foreclosure, which again, that can motivate some sellers. If the property is going into foreclosure, they're going to lose the property. If they have some equity, they could get it out, but obviously if they go into foreclosure, they're not going to get anything for the property. Also, violations, and I put fines or liens because we know violations after a period of time will turn into daily fines or liens on the property. So if you've got a violation on the property and they've been getting a daily fine of $250 for the last several years, you could have a $600,000 lien on that property. Okay, so that will create some motivations as well, because here the seller's like, I got $600,000 in liens and violations on my property. There's nothing I can do with it. I just want to get out from underneath this. Same thing with foreclosure. If the property's in disrepair, you know, maybe it has fire damage, or maybe it has mold. Maybe it even is in such disrepair that it just has a demo order. There are some properties that the city will put a demo order because the seller for the last year or two haven't done anything about the fact that it was fire damaged or mold or whatever the situation is with the property. So sometimes we've been able to go in and either if it's ourselves or one of our buyers, sell the property, get the demo order lifted because there's enough structural that's still there for the property that the property can be salvaged, okay? Also, back taxes. Back taxes would be very similar to foreclosure. The homeowner's just not able to pay their bills any longer, so now the situation is with the property. You've got a property that might have a tax certificate on it. It's going to go up for a tax deed sale, and they're going to lose the property just like they would in foreclosure. So if any of these situations arise, you can start looking at these, and sometimes sellers aren't as motivated as they should be if they're facing a foreclosure until they actually realize what a foreclosure can do to them and the fact they're going to lose their property. Then they will become more motivated. So sometimes you have to help them create that motivation. So anyways, you know, what it really comes down to when you're first talking to that seller and asking them why they're selling the property is it's really the beginning of your negotiations, and you have to understand that sometimes the terms, the structure of the deal itself is more important than the price to the seller. So when you find out what the seller's motivation is, sometimes that can also help you structure the deal the way that you need to in order to make that profit that you're looking for. So in regards to, I'll give you a perfect example, in a probate property, I had the seller, he wasn't really worried about the price. What he was worried about, and he didn't want to sell the property because the belongings that were still in the property, I guess, were antiques that had been in their family for multiple generations. He said it was 10 generations, but I highly doubt it was 10 generations. But they were very important to him, and I got that from him from his half-an-hour speech to me of telling me different stories of how he remembered as a kid in his grandma's house and the dining room table for the family and all these kind of different things. So instead of talking to him about price as much, I talked to him more about getting the furniture and the things inside shipped to him. He lived in New York and he didn't have the money to come down. So I would have to have them shipped to a storage facility because he also lived in a one-bedroom apartment that he didn't even think that he was going to be able to pay that month's rent for. So I would have to ship them to New York to a storage facility. So I structured the whole deal around that, and he almost wasn't really paying attention to the price. I basically told him, if I do this, get your furniture and get everything to you and get you $10,000, is that good for you? And he said, absolutely. We didn't even really talk about the price. We didn't even talk about it to the point that when he signed the contract, I don't know if he was even paying attention or not. But the special note said that we would be shipping all of the furniture up to New York to the storage facility, and he'd be getting a check for $10,000. So that was infinitely more important to him than the price. So find out the motivation of your seller, why they're motivated, find out if it's even going to be a deal or not, and if they are motivated, use that motivation to structure the perfect deal. And now you know what time it is. Announcements. Whoa. Okay, so first, I want to give a shout out to all of my boot campers from this weekend. We had a phenomenal boot camp this weekend, our second boot camp of the year. Of course, it was sold out a week before the boot camp even started. We went out to the field on Saturday with Carl Sheely of Pierre's Remodeling and Construction. So we really want to thank Carl for taking us out and educating us on illegal additions and code violations and how to rehab a property as well. Also, Jose Ramirez from Tax Advisors, thank you for coming in. Independence Title and REIA, we want to thank both of you guys for coming in and teaching our boot campers this weekend. You guys did a great job on Sunday on the breakout sessions where everybody broke out into groups, analyzed the properties, and determined the offer price and what we would be selling the property at as well. So I hope you guys learned a lot this weekend from our boot camp. Make sure that you guys sign up for the next one if you have not taken our boot camp, and the next one's in August. That's 4 times a year. So the other announcement that I of course want to make is that our meetings are coming up. So our meetings for this month, which I'm going to look at the calendar right now. Okay, so it's actually the 1st and 2nd. Tuesday on the 1st is our Miami-Dade meeting, and the first Wednesday of the month, the 2nd, is our BREIA meeting. The Miami-Dade meetings are at the Miami Pullman Hotel. The BREIA meetings are at the Signature Grand. We're going to be having one of our corporate members, Rich Meyer, back by popular demand. How to profit and help homeowners recover using surplus funds. This is a really interesting way in real estate to make money, guys. It's making claims on surplus for foreclosure and tax deed sales. So it's just another way for us to find, other than just selling and buying properties, how we can make money in real estate. And if anybody knows how, and nobody knows better than Mr. Rich Meyer of the Default Investors Association. So that's going to be on May the 1st and 2nd. And also, we are having a bonus speaker each night from 6:30 to 7 o'clock. And that's Mr. Robert Crum, our diamond sponsor 2 years in a row of our expo. That's Mr. Robert Crum of the Housing Hub of Charles Rutenberg Realty. It's one of our favorite corporate members, and he's going to be teaching you guys, talk about a guy that knows his business, of how to buy properties effectively at the auctions. So that's going to be from 6:30 to 7 as just an extra educational segment that we're throwing in for the meetings May the 1st and May the 2nd. Don't miss either one of those meetings. All right, boys and girls, well, unfortunately, that's all the time that we have for today's episode. I hope today I got you moving. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Give us a like on our Facebook pages for the Miami-Dade Real Estate Investors Association and the Broward Real Estate Investors Association for any upcoming events. All of our events are on the calendars at BREIA.com and MiamiDadeREIA.org. So hopefully I'll see you at one of the next events. And remember, between now and the next time that I see you, every day is a new opportunity for your success.